Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of No Walk Outdoors. On today's episode I figured I'd go over my food plot strategies for these. All you're going to see are going to be new plots that are just established this year since we've bought the place. This property is 8.5 acres. Not a lot of timber on it. You can see this one draw right here behind me comes up. And that's pretty much where all these deer, they follow this draw up into these big ag fields out here. This plot right here, this plot right here, I used Roundup to go ahead and burn down it this spring. And then I bought a little disc that I pulled with my 3-wheeler and kind of roughed the ground up. And then I went in and I broadcasted soybeans here, and then around the edge, which I'm actually standing in, I planted Egyptian wheat. And then this Egyptian wheat will kind of work as a wall. I'm hoping it'll get maybe 8 to 10 foot tall. That'll block the view of the deer to my house. That way if I'm outside or a vehicle coming up the driveway, the deer that are in the plot won't see it. And will hopefully stay more relaxed and spend more time in this plot. And then I also planted, I'll show you too, I got cedar trees I planted along the edge, which maybe 5-10 years will be enough that I won't have to plant this Egyptian wheat in here. And then also you'll see there's green out here, some of it's soybeans, some of it's crabgrass coming up. I will go back through here once the beans get maybe 5 to 10 inches tall, and I'll spray Roundup again over top of the beans, which those are glyphosate tolerant, so that won't hurt the beans, but it'll kill everything else. The Egyptian wheat right here, there's a lot of crabgrass coming up too, but there's nothing that I can really spray to control the crabgrass that won't harm the Egyptian wheat. So I'm just going to kind of hope that that takes off and gets tall enough and shades out the weeds. And that would be it for this plot. I'll go ahead and take you guys back and show you my other couple little micro plots. Hey everyone, this is my smaller plot here. That one I just showed you with the soybeans is just right on the other side over here. And then this plot, it was the same way, it was just yard grass before, and I turned it into a plot, and having a lot of the same issues with the crabgrass coming up after I already killed it off once. I was going to try to do a clover and plant in the spring, which I usually don't like to do because it seems like a lot of times the young clover can't handle the drought through that July time period. Some of it's coming up, the crabgrass is taking over, and then also a lot of this draw that comes out is black locust, and you'll see over here, I'll show you, it's sending up a lot of shoots of these black locusts, and it's actually pretty invasive. It seems like it's popping up everywhere. So I don't know, I think this might be kind of a fail for the clover. If anything, I'll give it a little more time, and then if the clover don't come up good enough, I'll probably go in here with a Roundup and 2,4-D mixture and then kill it, and then leave it for that July to September time period, and maybe go in with like a turnip and radish mixture and see how that does. But I'll keep you updated on how this goes. And like I said, I think this might be kind of a failed planting for the spring. And then also right here along the edge, I planted that Egyptian wheat also to make a wall, because our driveway is right here. So when we're coming and going from home, if there's a deer in here, if we didn't have this, they would see us. But I think this will kind of give them a little bit of a wall. That way, if there's deer in here and we drive by, I doubt they'll even take off running, because they seem to be pretty used to the people living in the house. Because last night we had a doe right up in the front yard walking around and hanging out. So And right here you'll see there is a lot of crabgrass in here, but there's also quite a bit of that Egyptian wheat coming up. And then you can see some young clover coming up right there. There's a decent amount of it, but like I said, I think it's gonna get overtaken by weeds. And I could come in and spray some clethodome, which will only kill the grasses and not the broadleaves. And then right there you can see that's that black locust coming up. And yeah, this is all, it's pretty fast growing because it all came up here this spring. There was none of this in here. It was just all yard grass, so. Okay, well now we are back here by the pond. The other two plots are on the other side of this timber draw. I'll show you here. This plot right here is just going to be a pretty small plot, probably not even a quarter of an acre. And then I came in here, I sprayed some Roundup, and I sprayed some soybeans that all my soybeans I got for free this year. Went in, sprayed this Roundup, broadcast the soybeans, did no tillage to it. And then my kind of main goal for this is just going to be a turnip radish plot that I'll probably plant the end of July, depending on rain and how that's looking. Right now there are some soybeans coming up here, and I'll probably go ahead and spray it again with Roundup. And then the main reason I just put the soybeans in is just to establish use with the deer. So that way they kind of know that there is a food source here, and then this fall they'll keep coming to it once I get the turnips and radishes planted. And if the soybeans end up doing really good, I'll probably leave some of them and maybe do like the edge of it, go in and put that with turnips or radishes, or maybe if they're really sparse, I'll just go ahead and broadcast them over the soybeans. Sometimes that'll work, but if the soybeans are too thick, I haven't had very good results doing that, just because I think they get shaded out or the leaves drop and cover everything up. So I guess I'll go over kind of a couple herbicides that I like to use. Obviously with soybeans that are Roundup tolerant, that's my go-to. And clover over there, I like clethodome, or like sometimes I think the stuff I bought last year was called Grass Out, which is clethodome. I'll go in and use that. With the broadleafs and the clover, a lot of times I'll just go with mowing. That usually controls the weeds enough. And then I'll do that once or twice a summer. And then the main thing to watch with that is if you're in like a heavy drought, you don't want to mow your clover over. A lot of times that'll stress it out, and it might kill or set back your clover stand. So like I said, the main thing with clover, you can spray clethodome on it to control the grass, and then you can mow it to control your broadleaves. That's kind of what I usually go with. In your grasses, you could spray 2,4-D, and that'll only kill your broadleaves. So I don't spray a whole lot of 2,4-D. A lot of times I'll mix it in with like my burn down before I plant a plot, but you gotta watch that too, because a lot of times that'll hang around in your soil. So if you're gonna do that, like say early, I might start out and do a Roundup and 2,4-D mixture if I'm just trying to burn down and keep a plot clean until I'm ready to plant in the summertime. So that is kind of the way I do it. And then let's go on to the next plot here. But before I do that, I guess I'll show you kind of where we're sitting at. So this is the timber draw right here, and on the other side of that is my soybean plot. And then about straight back there is that clover plot I was telling you about. And then right here is actually the pond. And then the only issue with out here is I don't have a lot of tree stand locations. And so I might try to tuck ground blind in. I'll probably only have 1 or 2 tree stands. I'm tempted to try to put one in that tree right there by the pond. But my only worry with that is once all the leaves fall off, I don't think I'll have enough background cover to conceal me. So we'll see. I'm kind of waiting here another month or two and go from there and worry about those. While I'm back here, I'll go over kind of the pond. You can actually, we'll see if I can zoom in and see it. There's a rock bass and a regular bass right down there. I don't know if you can see him with the camera, but when we first moved in here this spring, I didn't really know as far as fish what we had in here. I had seen a few bass and caught a couple, and then I went ahead and stocked it. I think I put 50 catfish in, 50 red ear bluegill, and 50 regular bluegill, and then 5 grass carp, and then the grass carp really can't keep up with eating all the weeds in here, so I actually ordered some blue dye, which should be coming in here the next couple days. I'm gonna dye the pond blue, and that'll cut down on the sunlight that gets down to the bottom and should kill out some of these weeds. I was looking at copper sulfate, but there's some hazards that could go along with using that, with risk of a fish kill if you kill too much vegetation. So I'm gonna try dyeing the pond and see how that goes, and if that doesn't work, I might have to go to get a copper sulfate. Oakley, get out of the pond. Okay, this is also right here by the pond. This is probably, I think, gonna be the best location for the property because it's the farthest away from the house, and then it's also right on the edge of this draw. And when we first moved in here, there was a pretty good trail coming where they would come out on the bottom here, and then they would work their way up into these ag fields. I went in and did the same thing as the last plot, sprayed with some Roundup, and then broadcasted soybeans just right on top right away. Same plan. I'm going to put radish, turnip in here for that late season, that December time period, shotgun season, and see how that goes. There was a lot of like little brush, some more of that black locust that was coming up. I cut at the base early and then put a stump killer on it. So just trying to kind of get these established is the main thing, especially when it's never had any sort of crops or anything on this ground. And I also spread pelletized lime also, because I figured the pH is probably a little off. And then, like I said, I think as I get these plots more established year after year, I won't have as bad of weed problems. And then we'll kind of go from there. If you guys ever have any questions on this type of stuff, whether it's herbicides or how to get stuff started, make sure to leave a comment down below the video and I'll try to get back to you on that. Then also make sure to like, share, subscribe. The videos really helps me out, kind of gives me motivation to keep doing this. And so far I think it's really neat to see all the subscribers and support doing this stuff. So stay tuned. And also, like I said, if you guys have any questions or if you want to see something different that I haven't talked about, feel free to reach out. And then hopefully here in the next 5 days, I think it'd be cool to get a bow fishing video out there. So stay tuned.